We'll call the meeting to order. I know for sure that Jolene will not be here. She contacted us. We do have a quorum, but nobody's heard from Brian, so I assume he's coming, but maybe we'll plug in late, so we'll just deal with that. As is our custom, would you please stand, face the flag as we say the pledge? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, approval of the agenda. Jeff, have you got anything in addition to?
I don't have anything in addition.
Okay. Having heard that, I would look for a motion to approve the agenda as shown.
I will make a motion.
Quinn?
I'll second.
Seconded by Luke. Any other discussion? All in favor of approval of the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is carried. Scheduled presenters. Director. We'll go through our annual resolution and training video.
Yeah, I'll talk about a couple highlights while he's figuring out the technology piece. The video is 6 minutes that we're going to watch. It's an annual video that we need to do every year just to make sure that we're part and we're understanding what our role is and be a good member of the Minnesota State High School League. Just a couple key points here is, again, like I said, most of it is duplicate from last year. Couple key points is that they're looking at going from a 10-12 organization to a 9-12 organization. That way anybody in grades 9th grade would be covered by those accidental insurance. This is something that ADs have been pushing and asking for a number of years, so we'll look for some type of action. I'm sure there'll be more discussion at our fall area meeting in September on that, so there'll be more to come there. A couple highlights there that they're gonna, the keywords that they're gonna be pushing for is for safe experiences, equitable opportunities, and fair play for our participants. They'll talk briefly about, and there'll be more information here about as the trend of more students going to online schools, what does that look like in regards to their eligibility and how could that be impacted. That'll be something that they'll continue to discuss. We'll have more information coming there. They state that it'll be the lowest membership fees that will be paid here in 30 years, so we'll see how that plays out. And again, it's just one of their last points of emphasis is really talking about coaches and advisors and mentors and all the positive impacts that they make on our students, and we're so blessed with those here at Cannon Falls. So if you're ready,
And we'll do
6 minutes.
We'll do the resolution right after this instead.
Hi, I'm Eric Martins, Executive Director here at the Minnesota State High School League, and thank you so much for taking time to watch this video. The Minnesota State High School League is a dynamic partnership of more than 600 schools, reaching all communities and corners of the state. Our mission is to provide educational opportunities in fine arts and athletics for all students. The 2023-24 school year was a great one for the league. As we look ahead to the upcoming school year, there are some exciting things that we are working on. You may not realize the league has operated as a 10th through 12th grade organization, but now the league is considering bringing all 9th grade participants and contests under the governance of the league. That would make us a 9th through 12th grade organization. This would allow all 9th grade participants valuable insurance coverage in the event of an injury or a concussion. Welcoming 9th graders in this way would be a monumental change and one that is overwhelmingly supported by our member schools. A change like this will require action from member schools. So look for more information coming from the league in the beginning of the 24-25 school year. To be fully engaged members of the league, our schools are required to commit to following all league rules. These rules have been collectively established and are critical to ensuring safe experiences, equitable opportunities, and fair play for our participants. That's why we continue to expand our efforts to share and inform all schools about the requirements and expectations so everyone can do their part. As educational models continue to change, we're seeing a number of newer schools, primarily online schools, in which our our Minnesota students are now enrolling. This sometimes raises questions about students who are taking courses in more than one school. In response, we're re-examining our current practices related to participation and eligibility, and we're considering ways to most effectively provide opportunities for students to participate. We're pleased to report the league continues in a strong financial position. Thanks to strong tournament attendance, supportive and collaborative partners and sponsors, wise investments, and fiscal responsibility. As a result, it's very likely that this coming year's membership fees, after credits, will be the lowest in nearly 30 years. As always, our top priority remains the same: to promote and support safe, respectful, and inclusive environments for participation and competition. We want all of our high schools to provide activities and events that focus on educating our students and are free from discrimination, harassment, and marginalization. Together We Make a Difference was designed to amplify the voices and advance the vision of our students to ensure respectful and safe schools and environments.
It's important to feel safe because within that you're able to perform the way you want to and you're able to give the results you want to. In my personal opinion, when I'm not comfortable, I'm not giving all I can.
It takes a team of dedicated adults like you to provide the kind of programming our students deserve. That's why the league and its schools are focused on recruiting, retaining, and supporting our coaches, officials, and administrators.
As an education-based activities director, there's nobody more important than the coach or advisor for our students, whether it's in the fine arts or athletics, because we know that each child is one caring adult away from changing their path of their life.
If you look at or listen to any successful person talk about how they got there, they never did it alone. There's always a mentor, and so we need those types of leaders in our schools today to help our young people understand what it means to be a strong, supportive person within their communities.
Sometimes the most enduring lessons our students learn happen through activities beyond the classroom. So it's our goal to focus on enhancing the education of students through a broad range of opportunities that extend the traditional curriculum.
When alumni come and talk to me, the one thing I always hear is, they remember those big moments, but they also remember what led up to them. Everything that they've done to prepare and how those coaches and those experiences have helped prepare them.
At the Minnesota State High School League, it's about more than membership. It's about partnership. We have seen that when our member schools commit to common principles and expectations, we all experience the benefits that come from a shared responsibility to provide safe, respectful, and inclusive activities for all of our students.
To do our best for student athletes and participants, we need to be good partners to one another and collaborate with other schools and the Minnesota State High School League. Every single one of us has an important role to play in making sure that our students have the very best opportunities and experiences when they are participating in activities.
Nothing is more important than the well-being of our students, and participation in activities is a great way to enhance our students' overall health, both physically and mentally.
I think it's really, really important that every high school student finds something to be involved in. Finding some way to get involved in your school and in your community is so important. It not only positively benefits your mental health, but helps you improve as a person, helps you grow, helps you make connections with other people.
These activities have helped shape who I am because it makes me understand the importance of being in something, and it has helped me for the future because these activities help you gain skills such as time management and communication.
Giving students these valuable opportunities is the mission of the Minnesota State High School League. And looking around the state this year, we've seen high participation numbers, packed venues, and enthusiastic support from school communities. And together, we have a bright future ahead. On behalf of the Minnesota State High School League, I thank everyone in all of our member schools for your continued active support, because it's about more than membership, it's about partnership.
Tired of typing tons of notes during...
Read anything to add to that?
No, again, like I said, a lot of this is duplicate from last year. I think the biggest piece is gonna be the online eligibility as we move forward. There'll be a lot more discussions in our lead meetings that we have once a month with the high school league, and certainly more extensive that fall area meeting in September. That'll be the big one that everybody's wanting to know what direction the high school league's willing to take with that.
I heard them say they're trying to add ninth graders.
Yes.
So, I guess what is that? Like, we have
So
eighth
currently,
graders?
right now, the high school league only governs 10th through 12th grade contests and events. Now, if you're a 7th grader or 8th or 9th grader that plays on any of those upper level teams, you're automatically entered. But right now, it's just 10 through 12, so we wanted to get to that it's 9 through 12. And this is something that we as ADs have been talking and asking for in those fall area meetings with the high school league for several years now. So I think that.
We were talking about that when I was in ED.
Yeah.
That was how long ago it was.
Does that put more of a crunch on like officials though? Because do you have to use certain officials for the ninth grade?
No,
Oh, okay.
I don't envision that would change anything
I
there.
think the biggest thing is the catastrophic health insurance that would cover ninth grade, like C-squad teams.
Sure.
Instead of B-squad.
Sure.
So, in an event, like something that did happen, the C-squad game, that's just our insurance policy that,
Well,
Individual.
eventually it probably will be, but it'll be the parents.
Sure.
Stuff like
Gotcha.
that.
So I guess we would need a motion for the continuance of our membership to the Minnesota State High School League for the upcoming year.
And it's a resolution.
Yep. Do I hear a motion?
I will make a motion for that.
Clint on the motion,
I'll second.
seconded by Katie. Any other discussion? Katie, would you mind reading that?
All right. Do I just do that first paragraph?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Resolved that the governing board of Cannon Falls High School, located in the state of Minnesota, delegates the control, supervision, and regulation of interscholastic activities and athletics referred to in Minnesota statute section 128C.01 to the Minnesota State High School League, and so hereby certifies to the State Commissioner of Education as provided for by Minnesota statutes. So I'll do a roll call.
Yep, so a yes vote would be for the continuance of the membership.
Brian?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes?
Luke?
yes.
And Clint?
Yes.
That passes by a 5-0
Oh,
vote.
me, yes.
I should wait for you, shouldn't I?
Well, I forgot about myself.
Okay, moving down to reports and communication. Has anybody had a committee that they've attended for the summer?
I wasn't there, but I get the emails. So on that foundation, I know that they were just wrapping up this last fiscal year's budget and also approving next year's budget. And now everything's turned towards their next big fundraiser, which would be the poker social. And we have another member that we're going to vote on adding today. And then I think this will be the first time in quite a while that all 15 spots will be filled up. So that's good.
Do we know when the poker social is yet? Did they give a date?
I know.
No.
I don't know the rules here, but I can get it to you. It's
I-
September
Yeah, so-
21st.
Oh,
Sorry, I don't know the rules here.
Okay. Anyone else? Moving down to administrative board reports. Soups report. Jeff, what do you got for us?
Just entering in the poker social, sorry, I didn't have it in my calendar.
I think the earlier we get it out
Yeah,
there, the better.
right.
I just know my wife has a meeting for it already, like tonight or tomorrow night or
Okay.
something like that.
It takes a while to plan those things.
Other than what's in my report for the written items and the agenda items, I just want to give you an update on our latest social media report card. There was a few items, Facebook pages keep growing, as does Instagram. And so, some of the better tweets, I guess, or the best posts are these two here with the football players signing with Southwest University and Mr. Leglow performing at the Minnesota Orchestra piece. So those are really popular items. And you can see the monthly bar graph. on some of our more popular months. I know this year's April outpaced last year's April, as did March, and February was just barely more than last year. So we continued to trending up on our social media and telling all the good things that we had going on here. So that is all I have for my report, unless you guys have questions.
Anything for Mr. Sampson? Okay, moving on, public input. You see the terms of public input. Does anyone here have anything they would like to address to the board that's on our current agenda? Closing public input. Consideration to approve the finance report. Josh?
Yep, you're pretty familiar with this report. It's the cash flow worksheet for the district. The information has been updated with the fiscal '25 budget that was approved at last meeting. Some of the kind of, I guess, highlights that are in this as we go through, I think, the end of August would be, as we talked about, really since 2022 when we finalized the funding for the project, CTE and HVAC project funds. We're still doing our best to, as that project wraps completely up, earn interest off of that and get a lot of things done in the district that normally wouldn't be able to happen. And certainly items that, in order for us to do, would have taken away from funding other projects or issues throughout the district. At the top there, we have one more cleanup of Goodhue County and Dakota taxes from the first half of the calendar 24 taxes that will come here at the beginning of July. The beginning of August, you'll see it's an interest-only payment on debt service on the left-hand column, that 2015 AAB, 2016-17, those payments there on the left. Our mortgage payments, for lack of better phrasing, is twice a year. There's a principal and interest payment that we have in February, and then the interest-only payment in August, and that's what it will represent there. Ideas, as you all know, is our main funding from the state, driven largely by ADM's, daily membership of kids in the district. As we talked about, the fiscal '25 budget from last month that was approved is kind of filtered in here, so there are really kind of estimates on what goes out each week, whether it be manual checks on Fridays, payroll taxes, and those sorts of items. The key thing for our district, and has been now for the last few years, which is a positive thing, we're not having to forecast any cash flow borrowing for the fiscal year, which is a benefit to the district and the taxpayers, obviously. If you have any questions, I can do my best to answer.
Anything for Josh? If not, I would look for a motion to approve the finance report as shown.
I'll move to approve.
Luke? On the approve? Seconded by whom?
I'll second.
Seconded by Katie. Any other discussion? All in favor of the approval of the finance report, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is carried. Consent agenda. Items under the consent agenda are considered routine and will be enacted under one motion. In the event a board member wants to discuss any particular item, it can be removed from the consent agenda for further separate action. Jeff, usually lead us off with the acceptance of gifts.
Yes, this month we have 3 ring binders from Sally Carls for student use or staff use, however they want to use them. We did get $5,008.19 from Cadence and Mackenzie Kilmer for FFA. We have $500 from the VFW for general use, $800 from John Gardner for Cannon Falls High School Auto Mechanic Department, $4,237 from the Ed Foundation for Social Institute Advisory Curriculum for Mr. Hodges, $1,267.97 from the Ed Foundation for Instrument Expansion for Ms. Braun, and $3,000 from the Ed Foundation for the secondary STEM, or the second STEM cart for the elementary. And that was part of the auction fundraiser. And we do thank you to all of our generous donors this month.
Everyone had a chance to look at the consent agenda? If so, any questions? Otherwise, I would look for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Katie?
I'll second.
Brian on the second. Any other discussion? All in favor of the approval of the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Consideration to approve the fiscal year final revised budget. Josh, you're
Yeah.
up.
Just had so much fun going through it last month, we'll do it again. So last month, we presented the preliminary budget for fiscal '25. This would be the final revision of the current fiscal year '24 budget, which will technically end on June 30th here. There'll be some cleanup, obviously, of some items, both outstanding invoices and bills, and payroll that is paid on July 15th and beyond that was logged for fiscal '24, and some revenue that will come in, mainly cleaned up from the state as we are funded 90%, 10%, 90% the current year, 10% of the prior year, as we get cleaned up as the state basically gets some of the reporting and data back and they clean up the funds that go to the districts. What you have there at the top would be the final revised version of what will be into Smart Finance and will be the basis of the audit when they come in at the end of August to go through our books. The middle part there is the last revision, the revision we did in February for the budget on for fiscal '24. And then the bottom would just indicate changes between that last revision in February and the current revision now in June. Since I didn't have my sheet here, if you could roll it back down so I can see the top there. Awesome, thank you. The first one we go through, and this would be the same as we went through last month with the preliminary for '25. The biggest fund and the most concerned fund for the district and for you as a board is going to be the general fund, as that's really our day-to-day operations throughout the district. Going through this, it really is about as tight as I can get it right now at the end of June at this point. As you said, there are going to be some cleanup and there'll be some audit items and some things that will need to get adjusted and changed through here. But really the fiscal year, we see inflation type items, we see increase in contracts, we just see some items that expenditure-wise, whether it be a 5-hour-old or some special ed funding, whether it be the transportation portion of it or just staffing and just needs in general, that kind of influence that number for the expenditures. There's some offset obviously with the revenue, but we didn't keep quite up on par to keep revenue equalized with it. Now in the almost $15 million budget, $5,000 is not a significant percentage, but it is a move in the direction that we're not looking for. We're looking to try to be positive when we can. That's not to say when the final audit gets done that number won't change, but try to tighten it up as close as we can at the end of June here for this revision. Items that could affect the revenue side will be the final data for student count. It's not necessarily a picture of the number of kids on a certain day. It's average daily membership throughout the year. So there could be some fluctuations in there by the time that final audit gets through. But it's as tight as we can make it right now. If there are any questions on the general fund, we can definitely go through as much of that as we can, and then I'll go through the other funds real quick for you. Okay. Food service, as we talked about, we have a positive fund balance coming into the fiscal year, and that negative $96,000 spend down is designed to get some equipment that's needed in both kitchens in elementary and secondary. It will help not only the staff out, but I think the kids too, and the food they're probably able to get to serve for the kids. So while that is a negative spend down in that fund, we do stay positive. And that is a requirement by the state. If we are negative in the fund balance for food service, we have to make that transfer each year to cover that difference. So food service with the state going to funding lunches and breakfast for kids, we see pretty good attendance in there, which also then will kick up the expenditures on the grocery side of it. When we were funded through federal for lunches, we got a slightly better reimbursement rate than we do through state. So the numbers aren't as great as when we had the federal reimbursement of lunch program, but we're still doing pretty well. What we won't see is obviously the revenue that you would normally see in student lunches, because that's actually coming through the state now instead of individual families for that. Other than a la carte, and if you have kids in the district, you know that they're going through a la carte items. So there's a little bit of revenue side on that. Community ed, the numbers are much better projected right now than they were even in the revision in February. Partly due to some cost adjustments and how we're billing Can Kids preschool, and partly because of the numbers in the programs. That is a deficit spend, and we've talked quite a few times about that in community ed, and ours will mention that again when they come through and present the final budget, final audit, in probably with that October timeframe. But especially district our size, it's real common to see a negative balance in community ed. That really is more indication of that school district or that community supporting those programs and making sure that those offerings are available to families. It generally is not a money-making endeavor in that community ed service. It's more a break even, or even a supplement from the district in order to make some of those projects and programs happen. And we're obviously very proud of being able to do those things. The construction fund, that's just going to be a continuation until everything is absolutely zeroed out and the final project has been, bill has been paid. There's one vendor that we're still working with to clear up some things. There are a couple of retainage bills that are still in that. And as long as we have cash available, we're holding some of those funds in that investment to help earn the interest. It is earning a much better interest rate for us than we can at our accounts right now. So that will show until that final project is complete. The big deficit in there is because we received the money in 2022, and we've been spending it down ever since. So the revenue you see in there is interest earned on that account as we've gone through, and the expenditures would just kind of tie out to the expenditures that we paid during that fiscal year. In the end, that fund will go to zero, and you may see some tails of that in fiscal 25, unless we were to go for another project at some point. You're not going to see that in 26. It won't happen when we run another project. Debt service fund 7 is again another deficit spend, but that is really more of an indication that the taxpayers in our community and county do a good job of paying their taxes. When the levy is set, it's set at 105%, expecting there's going to be some delinquent tax receipt. As you build up a fund balance in your debt service, those funds belong to taxpayers, and the state and counties have a mechanism to put some of those dollars back then to where those dollars belong. When we have an excess there, we can't transfer those funds into other funds because that's not the intent when those dollars were received to a district. The expenditures are set up to where our bills are going to be paid for those essentially mortgage payments on our debt. The revenue is set to where the levy gets to us, but again, keep in mind that there is a positive fund balance in debt service, so we're okay in that fund. The trust and agency historically have been just scholarships. In the last couple of years, we've added a couple of items there so that we can transfer or carry those funds over year to year. Generally speaking, what doesn't get spent in a year would close out to a non-designated or a general fund account. When it's in trust and agency, it can keep the balance and roll over. A little more work on our end because we got to keep separate kind of funds for each of these projects, but generally been to scholarships. Now we also keep track of, you've seen quite a few scoreboards with advertising panels on the side, and there's some revenue there which helps support items that the district just isn't able to support, or kind of extra items that would maybe be nice to have and really add to the impact and the overall atmosphere of what's going on, but generally wouldn't be a district expense that we would generally support or be able to support. Also in that, it'd be the Gemini donation, which has been spent down through that Maker Lab space. So as those funds release, it will close down that balance. Again, a deficit spend in that, but largely an indicator of that Makerspace donation being spent down. And then also some of the scholarships that we have are interest-based, so as they spend down, they go away. So yeah, there's a large, big negative number for the total looking at that budget, but a large part of that is really built by the construction fund, which will balance out to zero as we go through, and the debt service being kind of a tax savings back to our taxpayers, and then the $100,000 that we're spending down on food service to better the program and the facilities. So, if you have any questions, I can do my best.
After this revision, where does our general fund, where do we project that to fall to?
So this is not gonna move the needle, it would slightly backwards, but, $5,000 out of 15 million is not gonna move it much of a percent. So I think we came in this fiscal year at about 2.6 undesignated, it shouldn't move too much from that. Assuming that there's not big changes in ADMs as we go through the audit and get to the end and revenues tie out. So we did not move the needle, obviously, but we were also able to support all the things that happened in the district throughout the year, including the inflation part and offering contracts at a settlement that were a little bit better than what the state's offering us, so we were able to do that to help as best we can to support the contracts.
Thank you.
Josh?
Oh, sorry.
We sunsetted the OPEB several years ago. Why does it continue to show and can it be just deleted?
Yeah, you're right. I think I talked about that with the last one with the fiscal 25, for them, that you'll start to see that gone. It's just me plugging the numbers into a spreadsheet that I already have, so I'll give those out for you.
Question on the food service, we're making a spend here coming up, so 1 year into the state providing lunches, we feel good about that $5,600 in the,
So you look at the general fund or you look at the food service?
food service, the difference, if we're gonna make that spend.
Oh,
Yeah.
So I kind of projected we'd have about $102,000 that we'd spend down on food service when we looked at it in February. And now, just based on some of the numbers, I think a la carte probably was maybe a component of that. But that number got a little bit better for this, so we actually did just under $6,000 a bit better on the food service than I had thought
Okay.
in February.
Did we have much of an impact with the free and reduced lunch folks? Probably less people signed up, I assume, being that. Are we feeling that here or
You
no?
could ask Lori, it's harder to get people to sign on a form when they know it doesn't hinge on them getting that benefit.
Right.
Unfortunately, I don't think people understand that that ties into our other benefits too, for not only themselves but the district. So yeah, it's a challenge to get people to fill out that form.
I think that's gonna be the state's challenge over the next couple of years, because we're currently in a hold harmless. We're
Mhm.
using the same number from last year or 2 years ago.
From a couple years ago.
From a couple of years ago, and so they haven't been relying on that, but we need to get people back up to, state's gotta make a decision if they're gonna go away from that model. How are they going to properly fund the programs that were tied to that model?
When's the big push for those forms to be signed? Is that in like August or?
Right at the beginning of school,
Yeah.
during open house and that. I am getting a lot of people coming in now because the summer EBT cards are going out. And if they didn't fill out an application, they're not gonna just get it.
Okay.
They'll know for next year to fill out that application.
Sure.
Any other questions for Josh, Jeff, or anyone? If not, I would look for a motion to approve the fiscal year 24 final revised budget.
I will make a motion to approve it.
Clint on the motion,
I'll second.
seconded by Luke. Any other discussion? All in favor of the revised budget, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is carried. Consideration to approve the fiscal year 25 property, work comp, and cyber insurance renewal. You do have a handout to follow, so disregard what's in your attachment, I believe, right?
This one is updated, the single sheet that I took from you
Okay.
guys.
We go up, so Freeburg Insurance is our agent, and we put together all the packet to get renewal quotes. Our current insurance provider for property is Hanover. At the time that we put this together, they had not submitted their quote. We got that information this morning from Freeburg Insurance. And it is significantly higher than even Liberty Mutual. So last year, our property, all those portions up top, the property, general liability, school leaders, automobile, we paid about just under $157,000 in premium. This year, the quote for Liberty Mutual for that same insurance, and there are changes in deductible, and I think if you got your homeowners, you know there's some change in those items. $195,000 is the quote for property this year from Liberty. The quote from this morning from Hanover, you see it in front of you, is $225,000. we'd recommend, obviously, to go with Liberty Mutual for the property. The work comp, we do have 2 quotes. We generally have only had one. Ram Mutual has been our provider for work comp for many years. SFM quoted, and it's a slight change, a reduction from what Ram's quote is. Last year it was $49,000 for Ram Mutual for our work comp. This year they've bid or quote $41,188. SFM is slightly less. Both are Minnesota companies. I'm talking to Jerry at Freeburg. She's comfortable with both. SFM does their claims in-house, and I think at the cost savings, I don't see any reason why we would not choose that one if that's the board's wish. Cyber insurance, one quote for there. Last year we paid just over $12,000. The quote this year is just under $11,000. Essentially, that $247,718 would be taking the low quote on each of those. And you can see that the grand total last year was $217,000, so it's about a $30,000 total increase from last year for those 3 insurance items.
Were you banking on an increase? Does this follow?
I figured there'd be an increase. I didn't know exactly how much. What we've put in for fiscal '25 budget, between the savings and work comp and the increase in property, we come up to sort of a wash. So I did put enough of a number into fiscal '25 budget to cover this.
So your recommendation would be Liberty?
Liberty, SFM, and then CFC for the cyber.
And for the cyber, they just have one carrier, is that way?
One carrier that quoted.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
I guess the only thing I would ask is on like the workman's comp, have we had any claims in the past, and how smooth did they go with the company that we've used before compared to going with a new one?
Yep. Ram had been in-house claim processing for many years, and I think it just is within the last year.
In the last couple months, they both did outsourced.
To where claims happening, so, and that, Lori's a better person, as she's usually handling that work comp claim.
So you'd recommend the SFM?
Yep.
So we'll hear a motion to approve the recommendation by staff for these entities.
I'll make a motion to approve the Liberty Mutual, SFM, and CFC.
Motion by Clint, seconded by Katie. Any other discussion? All in favor of the recommendations put forth, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you for your work on that.
You bet.
Consideration to approve the 24-25 milk and dairy proposal.
Probably don't need to go too much past the comparison summary on the top there. Prairie Farm is the only full bid. Kemp's did only half-pint white milk, not half-pint chocolate or 5-gallon bags for white or chocolate. What that does is just take the cost that we had last year and the usage we had last year, kind of project with their quote what the cost could be for fiscal '25. The middle stuff, all that data, that's really more for your information. If you want to break down and see how much milk we used, how the bags worked out. By far, I think the bottom total was this cost per half pint serving is probably the most maybe telling of the district. Most of our kids outside of maybe milk break are drinking chocolate milk. 88,000 half pint serving of chocolate milk versus 45 of the white. But that kind of breaks it down. In general, I guess, I'm not in the lunchroom watching it served out, but in terms of this, it's been pretty successful. It's about 4 cents on average, serving less for the bag than it is the carton. And I think it's been going well. So there's a little bit of savings on that.
And the biggest thing is it tastes good.
And I'm not a milk drinker, it does taste much better. For sure. So the recommendation would be Prairie Farms.
I'll make a motion to approve
Prairie Farms.
Prairie Farms.
Okay, motion by Katie.
Second.
Second by Brian. Any other discussion? All in favor of accepting the Prairie Farms proposal, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Consideration to approve the adjusted 23-24 school calendar. We talked about this before.
Yep, so each year we gotta adjust the actual school days from the previous year. The superintendent did call off a day, which I don't think it's due until like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So I will take full accountability for that, but we still close school. So we need to drop it from 174 down to 173. I believe that was the day we were coming back from MSBA conference as well. So,
Is this the last one?
what's that?
Last change.
This is the
Yeah.
last, you sure?
No, see, we've been adjusting the future calendar.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh, this is
this
for,
is the
oh,
past
for the last year.
This is for the last
Oh,
year.
I checked.
I'll make a motion.
Okay. Katie makes a motion to approve the adjusted calendar,
Second.
seconded by Luke. Other discussion? All in favor of the amended or adjusted school calendar from the previous year? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Sorry, I know you worked hard on those. It is funny that it takes a little bit of time.
Oh, yeah, that was well, that day was a swing and a miss, but, yeah, the future calendar ones are interesting.
Consideration to approve the 24-25 strategic plan doc.
So this is the document that Sue Peterson started this past winter with us, and went through and gathered public and staff input through different listening sessions. And this is the information and documentation that she brought out of this as a document that the admin team has looked at. And so, as you go through this, you will see mission and vision, student achievement, goals in teaching and learning, and some action items, and I'll get to those in just a little bit. College and career readiness as an important item that came out of those discussions, mental health support. High quality staff, attracting and retaining. Professional development. Partnerships and engagement with the communities and local businesses. Facility planning, continuing on that with district operations. And the financial pieces to it. I'll put together in a nice little booklet here. Each of these areas have action items, and so on these action items, the admin team will sit down and create a spreadsheet like we had with our last one, that we will start applying tasks to specific groups of people to accomplish that, to keep us moving forward. And we'll give you periodic updates on how we are doing on those items as well. There's a lot of information here.
I thought it was put together really nicely. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought Sue did a really good job with this.
So we look for a motion to approve the 24-25 strategic plan doc.
I will make a motion to approve this.
Clint on the motion,
I'll second.
seconded by Brian. Other discussion? All in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is carried. Consideration to approve a 24-25 1.0 FTE broken down into .6 math, .4 science, teaching contract from Madison Olson.
I recommend approval on this item.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Katie on the motion,
I'll second.
seconded by Luke. Other discussion? All in favor of the approval of the 1.0 FTE contract from Madison Olson, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Consideration to approve a resignation effective June 27th.
This is for Margaret Dyson, and I recommend approval.
I will make a motion to approve.
Clint on the motion,
I'll second.
seconded by Luke. Any other discussion? Just as a reminder, when there is a resignation, what is the time frame to which we accept it or don't have to accept it? Not that it matters here.
June 30th is the end of the contract year, and then after July 1st, they need to get permission from us, and so we need to see about the availability of potential candidates.
Oh, for the next school year.
Yeah.
Okay, anyone else? All in favor of the approval of the resignation of Margaret Dyson, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Consideration to approve the 24 through 26 student or support staff agreement.
Over the past few months, Lori and Josh and I have been communicating and working with different support staff groups on how to meet their needs for the 5 and 5% that we stuck with for this round of negotiations. And some groups we got through with right away, and some groups we continued communication, and these are where we are at with the support staff agreements.
Questions? Look for a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Clint on the motion,
I'll second.
second by Katie. Other discussion? All in favor of the approval of the 24 through 26 support staff agreement, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Consideration to approve the 24 through 26 Safe Link Transportation Agreement.
We had conversations with the owners of Safe Link Transportation and came to an agreement on the percentages there attached. And I believe the contracts are in there as well, documents. So I would recommend approval on this as well.
Motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Luke on the motion, Katie on the second. Other discussion? All in favor of the approval of the 24 through 26 Safe Link Transportation Agreement, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is carried. Consideration to approve the 24-25 Computer Usage Agreement.
I believe this is very similar, if not the same as it was last year, with little changes from what I remember of the conversation. So I would recommend approval of this document for students.
I'll make a motion to approve the computer usage agreement.
Katie on the motion, seconded by,
I'll second.
that came from who? Luke. Luke. Other discussion? All in favor of the approval of the 24-25 Computer Usage Agreement, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Consideration to approve the 24-25 Elementary Student Handbook.
The elementary student handbook changes are listed here in documentation. I guess if you have questions, let me know. We'll do our best to answer. But they should all be in there.
What prompts handbook changes? It looks like a variety of things.
A variety of things, usually local policy from school boards and or legislative changes to statutes and stuff that we have to update and put in. Those are the biggest drivers.
I will make a motion to approve.
Motion by Clint. Second?
Second.
Second by Luke. To approve the 24-25 Elementary Student Handbook with updates as shown. Any other discussion? All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is carried. Consideration to approve the middle school, high school student handbook, addition to the handbook under activity section.
I believe the addition here is in red to the good standing and general eligibility requirements, which was a big one. Add to the high school handbook. I believe all the other changes are redlined in the actual document.
Anytime I see activities,
Principal Hodges had just asked that we put some more information into this parent-student handbook, specifically on the 206 and the 209 bylaws from the high school league. And so we just took it right from the high school league handbook and got that in there.
These are all boilerplate from the high school league.
Yep.
I will make a motion to approve the changes.
Motion by Clint,
I'll second.
seconded by Katie. Other discussion? All in favor of the 24-25 middle school, high school student handbook with amendments, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. Consideration to approve the 24-25 coach advisor handbook.
Very minor changes with the year and removing Bill Thompson, Dan Browning Lewis. The other two were the uniform rotation that got changed up that we discussed at our last extracurricular committee meeting, where we removed a year of the rotation for the lower level, the under varsity uniforms, and just shortened everything up in that regard. So that is updated and current to reflect what we're doing right now. And then we also added one last change was on our end of season report to add some of our rounding questions for collecting data from our coaches. So very minor changes.
The rotation of uniforms, that was supported by all the coaches, wasn't it?
Yep.
I'd move to approve.
Luke on the motion
I'll
to
second.
approve. Brian on the second. Other discussion? All in favor of the 24-25 coach advisor handbook, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Consideration to approve the new Ed Foundation board member, Grace Trainer.
As Quentin mentioned before, we finally got a full board now, and I recommend the approval by the school board.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Katie on the motion, seconded by
I'll second.
Clint. Any other discussion? All in favor of Grace Trainer as a new Ed Foundation board member, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. As you can see, our next board meeting is July 22, and you can take a look at the things that we're gonna deal with at that upcoming meeting. And anything else that you have any concerns about, please contact Jeff or Lori, and we can get it added to the agenda if needed. Anybody else for the cause?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Clint on the motion to adjourn, who seconds that?
Second.
Luke does. Luke on the second. Any other discussion? All in favor of adjournment, say aye. Aye. Opposed? That is carried. We are.